Okay, so we talked about countercurrent circulation in the gills. And then we also talked about, when we talked about countercurrent circulation, I mentioned that it occurs in other biological systems as well. One of the places that it occurs as well is in the blood vessels of really active swimming fish. Okay, so basically what happens is you have arteries that carry blood away from the heart and the gills that run in the opposite direction, laying next to veins that are carrying blood back to the heart. Okay, so the arteries are carrying blood that's going away, veins are carrying blood that's coming back. Okay, so they're flowing in opposite directions and they're next to each other. Okay, what does this do? Well, the arteries that are carrying the blood away from the heart carry warm blood. Okay, because the blood has been in the core of the body, inside and deep, and so the blood is warmer. Okay, so it's carrying warm blood away. The blood that's coming back in the veins is colder because it's been at the surface of the body where it's been close to the water, and the water is cold, and so the water is going to take heat away from the fish's body. Does that make sense? Okay, so you've got warm water going out, or warm blood going out, cold blood coming in. They're running next to each other, okay, inside the fish's body. And what happens is heat exchange. So the blood that's going out from the heart, okay, out towards the surface of the body, transfers its heat to the blood coming back into the core of the body. Okay, so what happens is the blood that's coming back gets warmed up so that the core of the fish stays a little bit warmer, right? Because the heat gets transferred from the blood in the arteries to the blood in the veins and warms up the blood as it goes back to the core. And then the blood that's going out towards the surface of the body gets cooled off a little bit. Okay, and as it gets cooled off, when it gets to the surface of the body, because it's a little bit cooler, the temperature gradient between the blood and the water is a little bit less, and so the fish loses less heat. So fish are actually able to use this to maintain their body temperature 2 to 10 degrees Celsius above the surrounding water temperature. Okay, and that's good because that actually helps to keep their muscles working really well. Okay, so think like if you're super cold, it's hard to like move your muscles and stuff, right? Whereas and then if you play a sport, right, you warm up, right, to kind of like loosen yourself up and like get ready to play the game. Same kind of thing with fish. It's like they're warming themselves up to like loosen their muscles up and make their muscles more efficient. So fish are ectothermic. Do you know what ectothermic is? Yeah, you're right. So their body temperature depends on the surrounding temperature. So their temperature will be about the same as the surrounding water temperature. But these fish that have this countercurrent arrangement of their blood vessels are able to maintain a body temperature a little bit warmer and be more effective swimmers. Cool, huh? So that's another place that you'll see countercurrent circulation. Here's a picture to help you see it. So you've got the red arteries carrying the warm blood and the cold veins carrying the veins carrying the cold blood, and they're arranged next to each other. Okay. Okay, so countercurrent circulation is important for active swimmers to stay warm. It's also important for fish to gather enough oxygen in order to survive, and it allows for them to get that maximum amount of oxygen. So in your lab that you did with countercurrent circulation, I believe I asked you to do some research and find a couple other biological systems where it's used. Okay? You can find it in your own body as well. Okay, so our definition of fish that we're working with is fish are aquatic vertebrates characterized by paired fin, scales, and gills. So we talked about the gills, we talked about the paired fins. We're going to take a little diversion away from that definition. We're going to talk about body plan and coloration on fish. And then when we talk about the two different kinds of fish, we'll talk about their scales, okay, because they actually have different kinds of scales. So we're going to talk about body plans and coloration today for fish. So fish, fish are awesome, clearly, but if you just look at a fish, and you don't know anything about the fish or where it lives, The shape of the body can actually tell you a lot about the lifestyle of the fish. Okay, so where it lives, whether like if it's on the bottom or at the surface, whether it has to be a fast swimmer or not. Okay, it can tell. Just looking at the shape of the fish can tell you a lot about its lifestyle. There's several different shapes of fish. The three that you're going to be responsible for are these three that are up on the board right now. Okay, basically, in general, you have like fish that live at the surface of the water, so like up in the very, very well-lit waters. They're going to have a very skinny, like torpedo-shaped body. Okay, very skinny, very streamlined. Think of like an anchovy, right? Long and skinny. They need that shape because they have to be able to swim quickly to get away from predators. So a lot of like bait fish, like herring and anchovies and sardines, are going to be this like torpedo shape in order to be able to get away from predators easily because they need to swim fast. Okay. So if you see a fish, you don't know anything about it, and it's torpedo shaped, it probably lives in the surface water and needs to swim fast to get away from predators. Okay. Midwater fish, so down deeper in the ocean, they're going to be more football shaped. So everybody knows what a football looks like, right? So not European football, American football, okay? So like an actual football. Those fish are going to be in midwaters, okay, down deeper in the ocean. And that body shape, that football kind of shape, is good for swimming really fast over long distances. Okay, so it's really, really good for that. So if you find a fish and it's got that shape, it'll probably be swimming a lot. Benthic fish that live on the bottom, are dorsal ventrally flattened. So if you know where the dorsal and the ventral side is, which way do you think it's flattened? Exactly, like this. Okay, so the dorsal and the ventral side, it's flattened this way. Okay, so they're flattened so that when they live on the bottom, it helps them to blend in to the bottom. Okay, so they're flattened dorsal ventrally. I have some really good drawings for you. Those are my drawings of the fish shapes. Okay, so this is the surface waters, the torpedo shaped. I would probably draw something like this in your notes next to these because you will be asked to draw these again. Hint, hint. Maybe on a test coming up sometime. Okay, so surface waters, long or skinny and torpedo shaped. The midwaters, much more football shaped. Okay, and then the benthic. This is my attempt to draw like a ray or something. Flattened, dorsal ventrally flattened. Super good, I know. Rays are happy, that's why they have a smiley face. Although their mouth is on the underside. Their mouths are on the underside because they're benthic and they're bottom feeders. So they have to have their mouth down there to be able to get the prey off the bottom. Sick. All right, can I switch this now? Got it? Yeah? Okay. All right, so here's some pictures of actual fish to help you see this in real life. So here you've got like a barracuda, okay, and an anchovy so that you can see like the long, skinny torpedo shape. Here's the football-shaped fish. So like this would be like a yellowfin tuna, okay, and then here's another football-shaped fish. Okay, and then the benthic fish, dorsal ventrally flattened down here. Yeah? Okay, so that's what they look like. Okay, as you do your reading and take your notes, which are due for you guys on Wednesday, as you do your reading, you're going to hear and probably read about some other shapes of fish. And so here's some of the other shapes that fish can be and terms that you'll hear. There's a shape of fish called fusiform. Okay? A fusiform fish is a fish that is like teardrop shaped. So if you look at it from the side, it's got this like teardrop shape. If you look at it from the front, it's round. So it's got like it's like this nice teardrop shaped fish. That's really good for swimming fast and again long distances. And I'll show you a picture of swordfish, which has that fusiform shape. Attenuated is the long, skinny, like eel-like bodies. Okay, So eels would be attenuated body shapes. You've got depressed, which is the flattened dorsal ventrally, and then you've also got compressed, which is flattened side to side. Okay? So you've got a couple different kinds. He's fine. It happens all the time. Okay. He's fine. So like reef fish would be flattened side to side. Like dory is flattened side to side. Okay. Okay, so the fusiform body shape, okay, this is a marlin, and swordfish have the same shape, okay, but you can see like kind of the teardrop shape. If you look at them from the front, they're round. It's very, very good. It's a good shape for very active swimmers. Yeah, that thing's fast. Okay, here's the sailfish. The sailfish also has the fusiform body shape. The sailfish is the fastest fish in the ocean. Okay, yeah. It is so pretty. It can actually change colors.
How fast?
68 miles an hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Guys, I don't
68 miles an hour. So do you know how fast a cheetah goes?
60 miles.
60, yeah. Sometimes 70, depending. So, but cheetahs are moving through air, right? Which is much less viscous and produces much less drag than water does. So sailfish are actually swimming in a fluid, which is much more viscous, creates a lot more drag, so it takes a lot more muscle and energy, and they can still reach speeds of 68 miles an hour, which is crazy. That's cool. So sailfish. They're called sailfish because they've got that big giant dorsal fin. Okay? Okay. Here's your laterally compressed or compressed body shape. So these are the types of fish that are going to be really good at swimming around obstacles. So like living on a coral reef, you've got to maneuver through all sorts of like coral and stuff like that. So this body shape is really good for that. Also like kelp forests and stuff like that, this would be good for that as well. So dory is our laterally compressed example animal. She's a blue tang, so laterally compressed. So that's what they look like. And here's another picture, butterfly fish. So another term that you'll hear is demersal. Demersal just simply means like bottom, like it dwells on the bottom. So demersal fish are going to be dorsal ventrally flattened, like our little skate right here. Okay, so you can see that. Flounder, halibut, like all the flat fish that are delicious to eat, they are actually laterally compressed. So you would think that flatfish like flounder and halibut and stuff are, because they're benthic, that they're dorsal ventrally flattened, right? But they're actually compressed. So they're actually flattened from side to side, and then they lay on their side, and they have both of their eyes on one side of their head, and those eyes like look up into the water. Okay, it's strange. So if you look, if you were to take like a flounder and look at it like from the side to see its face, that's what it looks like. Okay, so you can see like this is the mouth. Okay, and so this eye should technically be like over here on the other side, and it should be swimming like this way, right? But it's not. It lays on the side. Actually, as these fish, when they're born, they have one eye on either side. Okay, and then imagine like hitting puberty, and then your eye switches to the other side of your head. That's what happens to these fish. Yeah. So they're born. Okay. Yeah, it switches. So no, the eye migrates. Yeah, the eye migrates. So it's in its little larval form, okay, and once it reaches like a teenager, okay, that eye moves over to the other side of its head. Yeah. No, just the eye. So just the eye will move. So you know in Finding Nemo where the kids like scare the fish and they like hide on one side and he's like, "Where'd you go? Where'd you go?" Right? That's like a flounder, like a flatfish. He's doing that because both his eyes are on the other side, so when they hide on that one side, he can't see them. Yeah, it's funny. So funny. Okay. But they're cool. Flatfish are cool. So, and there's their body shape. Okay, the elongated body shape is really, really good for hiding like among rocks and crevices, okay, and coral reefs and stuff like that. Okay, so that's the elongated body shape. So good for hiding in reefs. It is beautiful. Okay, that body shape is also good for hiding among vegetation. So these type of fish will actually kind of like live their life with their head hanging down and trying to like blend into the grass. So they'll like sway with the current and like try and blend into the grass. Not you. Cornet fish is another type that's really long, attenuated, okay, long and skinny. And like pipefish and trumpet fish. Okay, so lots of different kinds. You also have a body shape that's called globular, a globular body shape. That's, yeah, because it's basically like a glob. And that's really good for sedentary lifestyles, meaning not moving very much. Yeah, anglerfish have like a globular body shape. Bless you. That's not a very good depiction of one. It's not going to be that long. Some of them maybe, but not all of them. Yeah. Okay, and then you've also got things like your weedy and leafy sea dragons that have lots of extensions off of their body and have kind of a unique body shape that allow for them to blend into their environment. They're beautiful, yes. Oh, darn. Can you spot the fish? Pretend that wasn't there. Can you see the fish? Now you can. Kind of. Okay, so this is the stonefish. So the stonefish is our first specimen spotlight of the semester, guys. So the stonefish is the most venomous fish in the world. Okay? So yeah, it's the most poisonous fish in the world. And it lives in in Australia, okay, where all deadly things live, and also in the Indo-Pacific. There's several theories for that, because animals that live there have to adapt to those surroundings, and there's lots of stuff, so they've got to have those adaptations. So what makes them poisonous is they have 13 spines on their dorsal fin, okay? And then they've got venom sacs two venom sacs that are associated with each of those spines, okay? And so they blend in really well, as you saw, and they like to live in kind of murky waters. So as you're like walking through like the shallows, step on a stonefish, and those spines actually go into your foot. The venom sacs release the venom, and you're in a lot of pain, okay? You can die from them, but really you die from the sting if you go into shock. And so most people don't die if you've been stung by a stonefish. Most people die if they get stung by a stonefish, they're not around medical care, and they go into shock from the venom. So if you do get stung by the stonefish and you're around medical care, you're going to be fine. Okay? It'll be painful, yes, but you'll be okay. Okay. And so the spines actually can pierce through shoes, so through the soles of shoes, because they're long and they're strong, so they can pierce through shoes as well. So like stepping on like wearing water shoes, too bad. Too bad for your shoes. And if you step on them, they then swim away, okay, and then they regenerate those venom glands and then are deadly again. So what you'll get when you get stung by a stonefish, you'll get immediate pain, clearly. You get stabbed in the foot, so you'll get pain and also a lot of swelling. Then you can also get like muscle weakness. Okay, the venom will affect you, and you'll get muscle weakness, paralysis, and then you can go into shock. Okay, where like your blood pressure drops and you die. Okay, so that would be bad. And yes, they can pierce through the soles of shoes. No, not only in murky water. Not. Just don't walk where they're known to be. So, sure, float. Okay, first aid. First aid for stings. okay, is immediately submerge your foot into as hot of water as you can stand, because the hot water will help to break down some of the protein in the venom and render it less effective. If you do get stung and the sting is bad enough, like you've stepped on enough spines and so it's a super bad sting, they can administer antivenom to you. But typically they won't unless it's quite a bad sting, okay, because you'll be fine if you don't. And there haven't been deaths in Australian waters. Okay, the only place that people have died from it is in the Indo-Pacific region where there's no medical care. So that's okay. That's not like the box jelly that'll kill you in like 4 minutes. Yeah. And then there's your face only a mother could love. Yeah. These were at the aquarium. Did you see them? They were at the aquarium. Yeah. They were hiding. Good. All right. Coloration of fish. Coloration. So we're going to go through a few different types of coloration that you'll see for fish. One of the main things that you'll see on almost all types of fish is a type of coloration called counter shading. Okay? Counter shading is when an animal, like particularly a fish, is dark on its dorsal side and a lighter color on its ventral side. So why does that matter? Well, if you're floating on the surface of the water and you're looking down like into deeper water, is it dark or light when you look down? It's darker, right? So if you're a fish swimming and you've got a darker dorsal side, anything that's looking down on you from above, you're going to blend in better with that darker background if you have a darker color on top, right? If you have a lighter color on bottom, when you look up in the water, is it lighter or darker? Lighter, right? So that lighter color is going to help you blend in with the light coming in from the surface. So the counter shading allows for them to blend in. Okay? So it's like a form of camouflage. So here's some pictures to help you see. So sharks in particular have a very good, it's a good example of it. So you've got that dark dorsal side, right? And then that lighter ventral side. And then here's to kind of help you picture it. So the light ventral side with the light coming in from the surface. That's much less obvious than if it was all black. So, and then you can see like the counter shading on like sailfish, and then even on the perch. So, and it won't be like black and white. You can have like shades of brown and green and blue for the dark color. It just depends on the environment where the fish lives, its habitat. Okay, other types of coloration. You can have bright colors and bold patterns. Okay. And those are going to serve a couple different functions. It'll either be an advertising function, okay, or it's going to help the fish to blend in. Okay. So if a fish has bright colors or bold patterns, it could be to advertise that they're either poisonous or aggressive. Okay. So a lot of animals that you find, if they're very brightly colored, it's because they're poisonous. Okay? Or if they have a bold pattern. So like the Garibaldi here on the left is this bright orange color, and it lives in coral reef or kelp forest. That color is very, very obvious in a kelp forest. So these guys are bright orange because they're aggressive. They like guard their own little spaces. And actually, if you're diving, they'll kind of come up and like challenge you, like get out of my space, dude, like and like kind of like charge you a little bit, and like yeah. So they're aggressive. Yeah, they're aggressive. So they've got that bright color. Cleaner fish are advertising a service. Okay, so they've got this bold striped pattern, and they have that striped pattern to advertise that, hey, I'm a cleaner fish, come to me, and I will clean all your parasites off of you. Okay, so they have that bold pattern to do that. So they can also use those bright colors and bold patterns to blend in. It basically breaks up the fish's shape so that the fish is harder to see. If they do this, it's called disruptive coloration because it disrupts the outline of the fish. Okay. So here's a picture to help you see it. Can you see the fish in this picture? Yeah. Here's the pipe fish. Okay. If you were to take this fish out of this habitat and like just look at it at the surface, that'd be a pretty bold pattern, right? It's got like stripes and dots, and so it's a very, very bold pattern. But in its natural environment, that actually helps to break up the shape of the fish, and a predator would have a hard time seeing that. So that's good. Other examples, zebras. Okay, zebras actually have disruptive coloration, believe it or not. Zebras, those have like black and white stripes, right? That seems like kind of a poor choice for the savanna where everything's brown and they stand out like a sore thumb. Yes? Well, what happens is zebras live in herds, and when those herds and zebras get scared by a predator and they start to move, all of those shapes create like this optical illusion for the predator, and so the predator can't pick out just like one zebra. Okay? Yeah, and so it makes it hard for the predator to just pick one zebra that it wants to go after. So all of those stripes and stuff actually help to protect the zebras. They're creating an optical illusion and breaking up their outline when they're with a bunch of their buddies. So, kind of cool. And then here's another picture of a fish in a coral reef, again, bold pattern, and then another fish in their environment, flatfish. Okay, you can also have certain kinds of fish that will mimic their background. So they can actually change their color and their pattern in order to mimic the background. That's very, very common in benthic species. So things that live on the seafloor, a lot of them will do this. And they use it to blend into their surroundings. It's called cryptic coloration when they do this. Cryptic coloration. And what's cool is they've done experiments where they've taken certain kinds of fish, like flatfish, and they have removed them from their natural environment and then put them into an environment that they've never seen before. And they've actually done well at mimicking the background pretty quickly. So they're able to do it very, very well. Remember chromatophores? Color changing cells. Fish can have chromatophores too, that they can use to change colors. And the reason why they would do this is to hide from predators and then also to be able to ambush prey. So they'll be sitting there like blended in with the background, and then their prey wanders close enough and they pop out and grab their prey. So helps them to find their prey. And then here's a picture of it. These are sand dabs, okay, in 3 different environments. Can you see them in all 3? Yeah, but they can blend in very, very well, right? Okay, hold on. All right, here's just another example. This is a frogfish blending into its background, so it's mimicking the back, the piece of coral in the back. Okay, don't pack up your stuff yet. So this is what I was saying. They've taken flatfish out of their environment and stuck them in something that they've never seen before, like a checkerboard. Checkerboards don't occur naturally in nature, right? So, and they put them on there, and that fish was able to mimic that checkerboard background pretty well, right? And that happened pretty quickly. What? Yeah, that's real. Just a matter of a few seconds. Yeah. Pretty cool, huh? And then this is just a silly thing to help you remember. The bright colors and bold patterns can be used as a warning. So, you know, the lionfish, our class mascot, right, is saying, or, well, that's a scorpionfish, related to a lionfish. The saying, like, don't mess with me. Sucker. All right.